Quincy Malm here from Cuties Lemonade and More. Just giving a shout out to Matt Torres with the Bold Moves podcast. Just want to say hello and shout out to you.
Welcome to Bold Moves, the show where real people share the risks they took, the lessons they learned, and the bold steps that changed everything. I'm your host, Matt Torres. From entrepreneurs and visionaries to everyday people making an impact, we dive into honest stories of growth, grit, and transformation. If you're chasing a dream, building something new, or just ready to level up, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Alrighty, this is Matt with the Bold News Podcast, and I've got a really cool guest. I've got Quincy Malm, and okay, so I'm going to break that down for the audience so they all know. But yes, we met in BNI, but also we both have a military background, and we were both in the same organization, which I think is kind of cool. And so we immediately kind of connected there. But so Quincy, I just want to give you a second. You want to introduce yourself, let the audience know who you are and what you're all about.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Quincy Malm. I'm the owner of Cuties Lemonade and More. Matt and I met way back in. I mean, we was both National Guard service members, and it's you go back to those times, man, when we was serving in the field, man. I mean, I can't believe like how close proximity we both were to each other when we were both in the Army. So I mean, I've since retired. I know you still in, but I mean, yeah, it's really cool that two soldiers are now standing here representing their business and then, doing their thing, and also shout out to Toro Insurance for setting up this cool podcast we got here. I mean, this is really a good setup. So shout out to them too.
Yeah, no, I was really like excited that they were willing to do this and kind of get it set up. It was kind of like on the fly because I was using that other studio I was telling you about, but it was great, by the way, but the issue was like the equipment was like shared with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Man, can't have that. You need something personalized and just to yourself.
Yeah. And the issue was like I was having like connection issues with the audio and it was getting screwed up, and I feel bad. The last podcast I did, like the audio totally got like wiped. Didn't even nothing. It didn't say anything, and I still have to call her and let her know that sorry, your episode is not going to air unless you want to do it again. Which that's kind of messed up. But yeah, no, it's cool because we both have the military background, which is kind of neat. And like you got out as was it major?
As a major, yeah.
That's cool. And so like I'm sitting at captain, and I'm probably not going to make major because like I'm already on my medical board on the way out, and I can't do any schools and all this other stuff. So it's kind of a sad thing. But it is
ain't nothing about being a major any better than being a captain.
Dude, one of my best friends, I went to high school with him. We were both in the marching band, all that other stuff. Well, he's in the Guard, and we connected like when I was in ROTC, and he was like, "What? He's a warrant officer," and I'm like, "Dude, I should have done that. I should have done a warrant officer because they fly under the radar.
They fly, what nothing. To do. Nobody needs anything from them. Nobody wants anything. Yeah. And when they come around, it's like they're important. It's being a warrant officer. I would say it's got to be the most. I would say the best field you can probably get into. Because you alleviate yourself from accountability. You make everybody else accountable, and you're accountable, but you're not as accountable as like the actual grade officers. But man, if I could do it all over again, warrant officer, or I'd be like a sergeant major, because I think I'd be the greatest sergeant major.
Dude, I was thinking about that too. I think I probably either would have gone and stayed enlisted and saw that through, or gone the warrant officer route.
Yeah.
Just because my mindset and everything, I think it's more inclined for that type of work. I mean, what happened has happened, and I'm where I'm at right now. But I mean, I kind of think about that. But
I'm happy with my military career. I always it's being able to just go back to it. I think I took the advantageous route, and I wanted to be like an officer so bad because when I was going through ROTC, I did everything I possibly could to like get the degree just so I can place myself to like a higher rank because I just wanted to get in front. I just want to lead. But I didn't understand all the other ways, and I wasn't patient enough to like suffer through it, enlisted. But I do miss it. Army was great to me. I can't hold anything back. I mean, I've lived my life through the Army. I have everything and owe all my success to the military.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't change any of it either.
Oh yeah,
Where did you go to ROTC?
in Austin,
In Austin,
in
okay.
Tennessee.
All right. So, because I was at ASU, and so when you went, how did you do on swimming on CWST?
Oh man, you would think, it being me being black and I'm Juneteenth today, that I was just straight to the bottom. But I was actually an incredible swimmer. Like, people don't know that I can swim pretty damn good. I think I did the whole, we know where you walk up and you got the weapon over your head. I mean, I did that in like record time. I did it on my back without even having to like stroke, because the bet that I had between the person was that I was going to go, and I said, listen how I'm going to do this. I'm going to drop into this water. I'm not going to use my arms at all. I'm going to put the weapon on my chest, and all you're going to see is me hitting the back of my head, and you're going to say, score, your go. And that's exactly how I did. I fell in backwards. I did my little Nemo flips, and all I did was continue on until I hit the back of the head, and everybody was like, that's incredible. Like, you didn't even have to swim it. Because most people like have to swim it over their head and everything. And it's like, nah, dude, you can keep the weapon out of the water. You can coast through this. It's like the easiest task that they have. And Sergeant First Class that was there, he told me, he was like, dude, man, all you gotta do is do this. And I was like, for real? We placed a bet right then and there, and he said, I bet you won't do it. So right then, now it's the wrong time to do it, because you got your whole career on the line. If you fail, it's a no-go. But I just was so compelled about what he was saying, and just did it.
So just to kind of let the audience know, so CWST, that's combat water survival test.
Yeah, combat water survival.
And there's like 5 different events, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm trying to think through them, but I know one of them is like you got to kind of swim on your side.
You got to tread water.
And you got to hold your rifle up out of the water.
Yep.
One of them is treading water for like, I don't know, 5 minutes.
I think it's like 5 minutes. And really you just got to stand. You just got to get somewhere within the water. I mean, it's kind of too like, there's tricks you can use that you can swim in. If you're not a really strong swimmer, and a lot of folks that I was with, this is why I was in the group that I was in. I'm a strong swimmer, but the folks that I was with was not.
Yeah.
Most of them were black. And so the drill that we had, he was like, hey, look, if y'all need help swimming, just tie up your BDUs, because we had BDUs at the time. And we tied it up. And he said, if all you got to do is drop backwards into the water, and your uniform is designed this way that it would create a floaty. Your legs will float, your arms will float, and all you got to do is lay backwards. You're going to get a little bit of water in your nose, so you got to be prepared for that. But once you do, you can just float in the middle of this water and you'll be a go. Because all you got to do is make 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like that would struggle, they would get tired after 2 or 3 minutes, because it was one guy, Cadet Granison. He was straight muscle, was built like a gladiator, 6-pack, everything. And he could not swim for anything. He can run a PT test, 300 PT test, everything. But when it came to swimming, he just he sinks like a rock. He's just muscle, straight muscle. And he had to use this technique in order to pass. And he made colonel. He's literally a lieutenant colonel right now to this day. But He was never going to become an officer if he didn't pass water survival that day.
Wow. Yeah, I would put myself in the camp that was not a good swimmer. In fact, I couldn't swim when I first started.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the other test, it was jumping off of like, I don't know how high it was.
I think it was maybe was it 15?
It was like 15 feet or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was, you hit the water, you just.
But yeah, so like so everyone knows, like you have to like basically stand there. And you're blindfolded. Yep. And you got to hold your rifle out in front of you, and then take a step off, like a leap of faith, and then just drop all the way down. Yeah. And then come all the way back up, and then like float.
Yeah.
And then there was another one, like this was like pretty easy, but you jump in and then you take your flick off. Your load carrier, and then
take all your your vest off.
So my first exposure to that, I was an MS2.
Nice.
Right? And I got anxiety. Like, I didn't think I was going to have that. Like, I freaked out. Like, and I couldn't even get in the water. Like, and everyone was kind of like, okay. And we just kind of like, it pushed me off to the side over there. And they're like, there was already people like, yeah, he ain't going to make it. Like, he ain't. And they were like, pretty much like, if you can't do this, like, you're not going to commission.
Right.
And so what I did was I went out and I found a swim instructor. I went to the YMCA. I was like, I need a swim instructor. I need to learn how to do this. And I found a swim instructor. dude, this lady like researched the water survival test, because I was like straight up telling her I'm gonna like not commission if I don't get this.
Right.
And she put together a plan to like get me there. And I think it was for like a year and a half. I just would go and train, and I learned how to swim.
Wow.
And I remember I had this thing of like, okay, like, well, there's somebody there to watch me. If I'm gonna let you drown, they're gonna pull me up. And I would just jump, okay, and I would just do it, and I just kind of have like this faith that like,
right.
like I was gonna like not die.
Right.
But I remember like I standing off of the deep end, and this lady gave me this weight, like this. It was like a plate, a
nice.
heavy plate. I don't know how heavy it was, like
yeah.
30 pounds or 45 pounds. I don't know how
yeah.
it was, but it's just like, okay, go in there and just jump and drop to the bottom. And I'm like looking at this, are you crazy?
Yeah.
And like I did it, and then I just like coming back up, and it took time, you know, and practicing. But man, like if I hadn't had taken that time to like go learn how to do that on my own, I wouldn't have commissioned.
Oh yeah,
I barely passed the CWST.
That was the real. I mean, honestly, this is how strenuous it was, because we train for this too, but some things you can just get, and some things you can't. Yeah. Combat water survival was one of those make or breakers. Yeah. It was one of those either I'm completely afraid of it. I've been afraid of water my entire life. Me doing this task, even in this pool, practicing, just scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So when you do it and you say, my entire career is on this, the only reason why I'm going through this program is to commission as an officer. And yet this one little task, this one little thing that I just got, you know, I'm just scared to do, you know, maybe from the past, maybe didn't grow up around water or whatever. But whatever it is, it's going to stop you, literally stop you in your track. Once you hit a no-go on this, they kick you out. You out.
And the crazy thing is that test, it's one day.
One day.
There's no like, okay, let's go hit the pool and train. Like none of that. In fact, nobody even says anything about CWST until it's like, okay, we got CWST next week.
Today. Yeah.
You know, it's like, you're like,
we're heading to the pool today. And it's like, and that's the day.
Yep.
You either make or break it.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
So yeah, it wasn't until my MS4 year that I finally passed it. I didn't pass it my MS2 year because
you didn't.
You know? And that's when everyone normally passes.
Yeah.
I kept training, kept going. My MS3 year didn't pass it.
Dang.
Kept going. So I went to LDAC, and not having passed CWST, but for whatever reason, when I went to LDAC, it was at Fort Knox. So they changed it from, what was it?
Lewis.
Lewis
I went to Lewis.
Yeah. So we were at Fort Knox. And it was the first year there, so they didn't have like the water stuff set up yet. So I didn't do the zip line and drop in the water.
Yeah.
So I lucked out there. And then came back my MS4 year. It was the spring, my MS4, right before I commissioned. Like it was kind of like, hey, like, are we going to do this? I take that back. I took it the fall semester, didn't pass it, and then they hooked me up with another cadet who was working with me, and then at spring, then I passed it.
Man,
barely passed it.
Wow. Dude, crazy.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
It was messed up.
This is made of legends, man.
Yeah.
The things we go through to get past some certain things. But I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world, though.
And then, my brother-in-law, he went through ROTC, ASU. He went to active duty, and he went in for a little bit and came out. Never did the gas chamber. Not once.
No way.
For whatever reason, he kept missing it. Like he would go out and it was like a rotation in his unit, and he got skipped or something.
Yeah.
He went to LDAC and they missed him.
Man.
Never did the gas chamber. Not once.
They hit me with the gas chamber so many times. I felt like I was a repeat gas. I was an expert gas chamber. Yeah. Which they had a badge for that.
Yeah.
That's all I ever did was gas chamber.
Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of let everyone know. So you have a lemonade business.
Yep.
And it's what is the business called?
Called Cuties Lemonade and More.
Lemonade. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how did you go from like, you know, being in the military, starting in the lemonade business, and this also kind of leads us to our show, which is the Bold Moves podcast, and we talk about people making these bold moves, the good, the bad, the ugly, the failures, the successes, and we just kind of talk about it. But you know, what's the bold move story for you going into that lemonade business?
Man, Cuties kind of started kind of a dream. I'm not gonna lie, like. My wife's father does this in Alabama, except the thing he does is kettle corn. Kettle corn is like real big in Alabama, and lemonade is like the sideshow. lemonade was something I never even thought would be like the fruit that would like really save everything I got with my career and, getting out of the military. But when I started this company, it was just to do it was just supposed to be a sideshow. It's supposed to be something that, we kind of make some extra money inside. I never really declared myself to really get out of the military. The military was supposed to carry me on. I was supposed to do 30 years if I had to. My wife was a nurse. We were pretty much set in our careers. We both had well careers. We both were college educated. Lemonade was not even in the background, just to kind of get a vacation here and there. And that's when my dad, my wife's dad, convinced us to, hey, you should, start a food truck and do something like this. First, it was kettle corn, but I was like, man, being outside in the hot heat, 115 degrees, Arizona, me stirring a pot with kettle corn, boiling. I was like, nah, man, I ain't no way I'm going to be able to do that. So I was like, what if you don't put the kettle corn cooker in here and you just did the lemonade? He was like, no, it would never work because no one ever buys just lemonade by itself. You got to have it to buy it with something else. And I was like, well, I don't know, man. Arizona, we can try to do something like that. So it was just supposed to be a drink concept. And honestly, from the first time we did it, we went to our church, made $800, which was phenomenal. Our paychecks in the military, they're pretty good. $2,500. It's kind of like the going part. But my first event, 4 hours at my church, it was a trick or treat event that they had, like a trunk or treat. And we made everybody supported us. We didn't even have a wrap. We didn't have anything on the truck, on the trailer. And we came out making that much money. And the line and just a feedback of everybody saying how good it was. Oh, I never had a lemonade like this. And we was like, wow, our process is really simple because the real thing about lemonade is the standard is so low comparative to all the companies out there. If you think of Minute Maid is no harm to Minute Maid. Shout out to them, but at the same time, it's no juice. It's no real juice. It's no real effort. It's no real fruit. It's no real anything. Mm-hmm. The basic recipe, I'm going to give it to you straight. Lemon, sugar, and water. But most of the time, they don't put lemons. Most of the time, they barely do sugar. Most of the time, it's with high fructose. Most of the time, it's bad for you. And the water that they use is just tap water, where we use alkaline water. So when we started this business, I said, we got to shoot for all the stars we can get because we got to separate ourselves because the standard is so low that when we just do the basics, we going to make this thing hot. So when we started, we did it like that. Alkaline water, real lemons, fresh squeeze right there on the spot, made the order. And then he said, well, father-in-law, he was like, hey, let me give you this shaved ice machine. You can make shaved ice on the side. It could be like your third item. I looked at that shaved ice machine. I said, man, there ain't going to be no shaved ice. People don't want no shaved ice like that. It's like, I'm going to make slushies. And when that hit, we're the only people that do slushies in all of Arizona. I have never gone to a place where you actually make a fresh squeezed lemonade slushie. It just don't exist. You see them at other places where they have a way to freeze the ice or whatever, but not with real fruit, not fresh squeezed, nowhere ever. So we made that. That's like our pinnacle. We did that. And if anybody want to go out there and try it, straight up. But slushies, we make all these different cool flavors. We can do all of these different type of towers with, different colors. You can make any kind of color out of it, like the red, white, and blue, for example. It looks like it's just red, white, and blue. So your straw hits the bottom of it. It's blue raspberry. Then it's lemon up in the middle. And then it's cherry up top. Cherry on top, So when we did it like that, we just planted ourselves. So since then, we embraced it, scaled it, got another truck. And, now we're 2-3 stores. We're all over. We're in Florida now. So we just opened up a store in Tampa. We have a food truck, 3 of them here in Arizona. And then we got the store also at Arizona Mills. And all of that came from the bold move of us. My wife lost her job as a nurse, and I was getting out of the Army for medical. And without those things, those tragedies, at the time I thought they were so bad. I was like, yo, man, I can't believe I'm getting I filed a VA claim, and the VA claim is chaptering me out. I'm barely a captain. I'm just got back from deployment. I'm already in the mix. I hid it for 10 years just so I didn't even want to tell them, because as soon as I let this out, they're going to be like, yo, man, now you're police. And as soon as I did, my police went from a 1 to a 3. Then it went to a 4. When you get a 4, they're on you. Then medical board came up, and I was like, I tried to walk it back a little bit, and it was too late. And literally, they put through the process and said, do you want to medically retire or do you want to actually retire? And I had like 18 years or so I was like, you know what? If I can put this thing off for 2 more years, I'll just regularly retire so I can get my benefits and do all that. So I put it off, but I ended up medically retiring anyways, but I still had 20 years, so it still made me eligible. But had that not have happened, never would have happened. The lemonade stand never would have happened. We would have still been working in the Army. My wife would have still been a nurse. And I think I thank God, man, because I'm like, well, at the time I thought it was such a tragedy. And it wasn't a tragedy. It was actually a miracle. It was the thing that was going to set me up. And I'm going to tell you, like, since then, like, it's my income level has gone up times 4. We just bought a house in Florida. This is our 4th house, by the way. All of these things I wouldn't have had because of the military, but now I have these things despite the military. And I can't thank God, none enough that I have all these opportunities now to just do all these things because I got the military background, got the 100% VA, turned that into, now it pays for all these homes. I use that, I rent out the homes, and then I get the income from that. So it substitutes that. So now I got this other income, and then I take the lemonade stand and I buy another house, and I buy another house, and I buy, you just keep on going. You wash, rinse, repeat. That never would have happened without that bold move. That's what I'm saying. Like, so just shout out to the world. If something is happening and it's something that you think shouldn't be happening and you're trying to resist it and fight it, I'm telling you right now, it's a better plan for you. And that's what you got to focus on. You just got to let it ride. Let God do his thing and you'll be set up.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How long have you been doing that now?
This is my 10th year in the business. We started in 2015. 2015, just a concept, really incorporated it in 2016. Knew we had to actually do something because we was making too much money. It was like, dude, we got to put this in the business. So we just did it. And I was literally, from the time I was going through retirement, my mind wasn't even focused on retiring. Like I knew I was good. I was like, well, at first, before this even happened, I was like, I can't do nothing. I got to hide everything in order to stay in. At the time, I was like, you want to kick me out tomorrow? I can kick me out. And this position made me that much more confident. It made me that much more like lackluster about the military career, which I still honor to this day, but I was not afraid to let it go, where a lot of people in the military, they're afraid to let it go. They get out, they get back in, they don't know how to get another job. And, shout out to all the struggles that they have in trying to find other positions. But if they would just think that invest in themselves and start their own business, that is going to be the way. Because when I started Cuties, man, I'm telling you, I lifted up out of my chair. I stood up out of my chair. When I thought of the name, so my name is Quincy, my wife's name is Tiffany, so Cuties. Stood up out of my chair. Stood up out of my chair, looked up at the sky, and was just and just smiled. And I couldn't stop smiling. My energy, my blood pressure went up. I'm in my office at the military alone. Ain't nobody in here. And I just stood up. I'm just like, and I just knew it was going to be bigger than I can ever imagine. And it has been. It's done everything I could possibly want and need. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. You have businesses in other states, lemonade business in other states.
Doing the exact same thing.
So how is that structured? Do you have somebody over there manning it, or?
My wife and I bought the house because we want to get closer to home.
Yeah.
We live in Tennessee. She lives in Alabama. So, our parents getting old. So we was like, well, we got to figure out a plan, take care of them, be able to take care of them in their old age. So I looked up and I said, man, I don't know how we're going to do that because I love Arizona and I would never want to leave Arizona. But the problem with Arizona is our parents do not want to get on a plane. They do not want to come here. They barely visit us. And it's just it's one of those things where you just kind of separate. So when you have kids, you're thinking to yourself, they're never going to know their grandparents because I live too far. So I was like, well, what if we got a summer home? Then the summer home got kind of dreamed up. And then we was like, well, how do we qualify for the summer home? So then it became into, okay, what are the income streams that you can make? Which goes back to another story, but I'll tell that. So the income streams that you make all got to add up to you being able to afford that house. Or they're just, you don't get the underwriting. They're going to say you don't make enough income. So part of it is you got to pay yourself. You got to pay yourself as a W-2. You got to structure the business where the business is in Florida. The business is also in Arizona. You got to have a business that's conceptualized where it's so simple that you can train anybody to do it from afar, that you can solve any problem from a phone call. In doing that, where all you need to do is go there for a few moments at a time, get the things established, put these systems and processes in place so when you actually launch it, it's running and it runs on its own. So the systems and processes, because we've had repeat stores that we built, are so simple that anybody can do it. Anybody can do it the first day that they started up. A new employee, I can train them over the phone, never meet them, and they can actually work this entire stand. One employee that we have at the stand each day. We don't have a lot of staff. We keep it very conservative. We keep our expenses down. We have one ingredient and turn it into 18 different flavors. That one ingredient, and then when you add slushies on top of it, now you got 18 more flavors. I mean, you can do this thing so many different ways and shapes and forms, and all you do is invite the customer based on how it looks. If how it looks is what sells it. Our tagline is it tastes as good as it looks. So when a customer sees this lemonade, they either have never seen something like this and they have to try it, and they're enticed to try it based on the pictures and the projection that we give to them. And then from that, they taste it. Then they're like, goodness, this really is a great lemonade. And the only reason why it's a great lemonade is what I was telling you earlier, because the standard has been so low that when we made a fresh squeezed lemonade and then turn it into a slushie, and then that's automatically just good. If you have a perfect lemonade, it's great. The problem is you don't enjoy perfect lemonade, good lemonade, fresh squeezed lemonade, because we just don't, it's not in our daily lives. Mm-hmm. We drink the crap all the time. Mm-hmm. So when you get this, you're like, wow, this is something different, when it really ain't. It's really the original thing, but just our standards are so low. So if Minute Maid ever catch on and start doing it like this, they're gonna put me out of business. But they won't, because it's too hard. And it's too hard because I put the effort, I put the love, I put the time into it to do it right, to do it the correct way. And I know they never want to do this because they're doing it for, the cost savings and everything else. They want to kick out the product that people will drink for 2 cents on a dollar, and it ain't got no juice in it. Well, let's cut out the lemons. Let's see what we get, what we end up with. And it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So I had to do that. I had to create that space to be in because no one else did it. And that's all you got to do in business, is create your space that nobody else does. Create something, a business around something no one wants to do. Provide something that ain't normally provided, that ain't consistently provided. And you will have the way to your dreams just from that.
So is most of your business coming from like word of mouth? Do you do a lot of social media stuff? I mean,
most of it's social media. Instagram, typical Facebook, the simple stuff. A lot of it too is, we do markets, we advertise, we go on the news a lot, and we kind of, just get the word out. But a lot of it, and truly, honestly, especially in Arizona, like they've seen my truck out, they've tasted it, they've honestly said it's better than what they normally get, and then they kind of follow me from there. We got a pretty large following on social media, so they're looking for it at that point in time because they'll come across town to get something that their taste buds just absolutely desire. And once you see this thing on social media, the same reaction happens on social media. They look at it, they say, I gotta have it. Where's this place at? And they'll drive from freaking Queen Creek, to Albuquerque if they have to. They'll drive from Avondale, to come to Tippy to get just a lemonade. But this is with anything, If you cook something that is special, people will come to it. They'll come around the world, and they do it consistently each day. So a lot of customers we find, ad hoc, they see it and they have to react to it. A lot of customers they come from afar. They see us on social media. They either come to one of our truck stops or they had us one of our truck stops. But a lot of it too is building those relationships. That's where you get your real business. Those relationships keep paying you out. They keep finding you again. Those again and again customers that we have, they a birthday party or a casino night that they're having, or a gathering, or a barbecue, or a graduation party, or, some of the setup options that we have, corporate events that they have, employee appreciation. They'll have us, they'll taste us, their employees will like us. It's something different. They'll shock them when they actually taste it. And all the varieties that we push out to them, it's just consistent. And it has been. Our farmers markets that they find us at, that's real big, especially in the food industry. Got to start small. Got to go where the people are. Farmers markets is where people come. So farmers markets is where you got to go. You can set that up in a tent, truck, whatever. You can just be out there selling. So once people try you and you got something good, they're going to come find you straight up.
So what's like the plan for like the next, 5-10 years? Like, do you want to franchise this? And
yeah, the idea is to franchise it. Owner operating it is more of an idea too. Like, you don't have to go through a lot of the legal implications when you go through franchising. The systems and processes are there, so it's not off the picture. But as long as we can own these and do it with a manager type of input, like we download a manager into that store, train that manager up, give them about 2 weeks to sit with us and actually go through everything, put together all the processes that where they can be handled remotely, or just a simple question. Do training videos that we have that gives them every little thing that they can have. And this is part of systems and processes. We film ourselves actually doing the questions that they're going to have. So our Q&A resource is already there. We download that. We put it on the computer. They just click it and they say, oh, okay, that's how you mop a floor. Oh, okay, that's how you smash a lemon. Okay, that's how you do this or that. So that's really thing too. But it's simplicity. It's simple ingredients, systems and processes. It's leaning into your manager, because your manager is going to be the one that you actually want to retrain everybody. And then once you do that, man, you off to the races.
So you have stores and trucks. So the trucks, are they kind of like, so it reminds me of like, have you heard of like Kona Ice?
Yeah, like Kona Ice. Yeah.
Is it kind of like that?
But they only do shaved ice.
Yeah.
They only do shaved ice. They got a good model. Not going to lie. I mean, they're good. We have that plus lemonade, plus slushies.
Nice.
It's the system, like Kona Ice, they kind of specialize. They give you the ice, they let you fill up your flavor or whatever. They already have the flavors already outside the truck. You just, if you want grape and strawberry, you just go out there and get it. We have more of a menu kind of thing where it's kind of like Starbucks. You see what you want to get. But our flavors are real simple too. Like a strawberry lemonade, just strawberry and lemonade. The raspberry pineapple, what's in a raspberry pineapple? Raspberries and pineapple. What's in a cherry mint? Cherries and mint. So when we train our staff, we go with the same impulse. I point to the sign. I say, what do you see right here? I see a lemonade. Okay, what kind of lemonade is it? It looks like a raspberry pineapple, or it looks like a pineapple cherry. What goes in a pineapple cherry? What do you think? And I give them a questionnaire, and I'm like, if they can say pineapple and cherry, then you got it. So that's the training, you know what I'm saying? And so like simple, Yeah. And then, but once you get the concept that everything is exactly like it sounds, everything is exactly like it sounds. Same thing with the customer. When the customer hears pineapple cherry, they're thinking, I'm going to get some pineapples, I'm going to get some cherries, and it's going to be lemonade. When I see a raspberry pineapple, same thing. So with the way that we train the customers, the same way we train the employees, which gives less frustration and impact. We don't name it strawberry lightning because you don't know what lightning tastes like, So we just name it strawberry lemonade. That's it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. When we go on like our bold journeys and we do things, a lot of the times, there's like, bumps in the road and stuff. Like on your journey, was there like any roadblocks or any stumbling blocks like you had to like plow through?
Man. Well, I'm going to tell you, in any business, you're going to have to deal with the government. You're going to have to deal with permits. You're going to have to deal with regulation. You're going to have to deal with competition. You're going to have to deal with regulation, competition at the same time, the customers. And when you finally get to selling it, then you got to deal with taxes. So, but that's business. That's everything, Some of the challenges is, a lemonade stand is the oldest hustle in the game. You've been doing it since you're 8 years old. Your youngest child can do a lemonade stand to the fullest. They can go out there, they can do a setup. The setup, they can have the drink itself, which is the product. And that's, what you actually graduate to the customer as, their what they want from you. Then you got to figure out the price point. Once you figure out your price point, now you got that, and then you get you registered. And once you get you registered, you can kind of figure out what locations you want to go to, where you're going to earn more business, where you're going to have more of a platform to be able to sell. And then from that point on, it's wash, rinse, repeat. But you got to get those things, those basics down first. That's why your 8-year-old, when they go out and do a lemonade stand, they got to think through all those humps. They got to think through all those things. If you walk out with lemon and water, you forget the sugar, you ain't got lemonade. You know what I'm saying? If you walk out and with expecting to sell lemonade, but you forget your table, you don't have lemonade, you don't have nothing to sell off of. So it's those bumps in the roads. But this is, me and you, we come from the military, so we think about things that you got to have in order to do a mission. We think about logistics. We think about our supply and resources that we have. We think about our packing list. We think about all the things the military pretty much gave us a foundation with, because when you got to do it on your own, you're going to want to bring that that wet weather gear that you didn't think you needed, but you got it because you packed it. You packed it because you thought you would need it. Same thing with lemonade. Same thing with any job you do. Once you got your packing list, once you got your criteria, what you're going to use out there, now you just implement it. Same thing you do when you're 8 years old. Same thing you do when you're in a full-fledged business.
If you forget the sugar, you can just call it diet lemonade. Right?
You call it diet lemonade. A lot of people are gonna be like, "Man, this is sour. This tastes like water." Well, it basically is.
Oh man, where do you see like the most business come from? Like out of all the events that you do?
The farmers markets are more consistent. Festivals are real good. Yeah. Routine festivals. If it's ever a second annual, third annual, something, barbecue fest, those are real good because they've already established themselves. Advertising, especially for like a food truck land, getting your name out and establishing your brand is going to be the most challenging thing you do. So it's better to let the venue do it for you. That way you fall into the situation where all your planning and all your advertising is already set up through them. So that means you're in a criteria of applying for events. Once you start applying for events, then you got to actually knock down the whole bureaucracy of who they pick and who they don't pick, because that's the obvious thing that you're going to have trouble with, because you're not going to be the only lemonade stand that's going to apply. So you got to be first, or you got to be the most creative, or you got to be the one that they want, or you got to have a relationship. So all of those things putting together is how you get into those events. But if you land at it, you don't have to worry about a marketing strategy because it's already done. The venue's going to plan that for you. You ain't got to worry about an established customer base because the venue done it for you. You just got to set up the logistics. You got to make sure you got all your supplies. You got to make sure you nail it on the day you go out. So that's the real advice that I would say, because most of your customers would come from your venues. Other customers, you can say social media will bring them to you, but you need a viral moment and you need the algorithm to work for you. So advertising sometimes will work for you and sometimes it won't. It's just hard to get in a space that has already so much saturation. So a lot of it's word of mouth and a lot of it is consistency at consistent events with consistent venues ongoing.
And so you have a spot in Arizona Mills. Mm-hmm. Is it like where's it at in Arizona Mills?
It's right in the food court, right in the middle of the food court where the information booth is. You see the IMAX to the right, you see the carousel to the left, you see the AMC in the background, the Harkins over where I forget what it's called, but we're right there in the middle. So we're basically the only island business that's sitting out there.
So what kind of business do you get from there? Like,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You looking at $25,000 a month,
Wow.
It's not like it ain't the greatest, but it's not going to put you out of business.
Yeah.
But you got to be conservative. A lot of customers, a lot of businesses that go up there, the customers look at you like, okay, you making tons of money. But you got to realize the only way you're going to make a profit is if you are not spending a lot of time or a lot of energy into your product. You can't have 1,000 different types of drinks. You can't have 1,000 different sizes. You got to have one. You got to draw down the amount of flavors or amount of ingredients that you use on the flavor. So if you make a flavor or a flavor change, redo it off of something you already got or an ingredient that you already got. Another thing is payroll. Having a lot of employees. You see places, man, they got 5-10 people working at an eating restaurant. And it's like, how in the world do they make money? Because you got so many people. So when you have that many people working, you got to make sure you got a lot of volume. And if you don't have a lot of volume, you got to make sure you keep your employees down and make sure you're working the most efficiency that you can. That's why we only use one employee. Most of the time, you only see one employee that you have here. One employee can run the entire stand. They're not overwhelmed. They're not overworked. They make good money in tips because they're helping every customer. And so whatever comes in, like they're getting the bulk of that. So the employees are happy because they get all the tips from each sale. Whole lot worse to compete when you got 5 people working the stand and you're trying to split tips 5 ways. The employees make good money because they making $20 to $25 an hour. Because if they serve 20 people, and each person tips $1, they make another $25. So you think of yourself like all those little things add up, and it's got to add up. It's got to be in your favor. It's got to be in the employee's favor. And all you got to do is get what's expected to the customer. Yeah. If they walk up wanting the lemonade and they want a fresh squeeze lemonade and they want it to taste like strawberry, don't give them blue raspberry. Give them what they expect, and the rest will be good.
That makes sense. So when we go through all of our, the bold moves, there's usually like hard times that hit us. So what did those experiences teach you about like the process and I guess about yourself too?
Man, our hardest time, I'll tell you, taxes in the range of TPT. So I didn't know when I started the business that Arizona passed a law that each business will create a sales tax on the sale of each product that they sell. And I didn't know this. No one told me this. And you didn't have any, I'm sure it was out there, but it just wasn't at a place where I was just, where it was just automatic. When for you to start a business, they wouldn't wagging your finger saying, make sure you pay TPT, make sure you register and do all this stuff with it. So I was charging $8 on a drink, each one. Every single drink I sold $8 flat. That's what they paid. They didn't pay no tax. They didn't pay no nothing. It turns out that the state wants you to tax every single product. The state will have you tax every single product. This went on for 5 years. 5 years. When I was said and done, I owed the state $140,000.
What?
On taxes for every single drink that I sold since 2016 to 2021. Hit me like a freight train, man. I was like, what? And after all this, like I tried to go back and forth with TPT and say, hey, I know I got to pay something. Like, is it a monthly thing? Turns out you got to be on monthly. I was on yearly. No one told me that you couldn't do that or shouldn't do that. I just registered. I just selected what was there and just went on, thinking, well, they'll tell me if I need to pay them something. They get my tax returns. I file. I do everything like I'm supposed to do. Oh, no. You got to go into their system. You got to self-report your sales. And then they kick out a number. Then you got to go in and pay that number every single month before their due date. Didn't know how to do none of that. No one told me how to do none of that. So I'm just a regular, lonely food truck. I'm out there just slinging. I'm happy. I'm whatever. We make money. We come back and I'm asking the IRS. I'm like making sure we're good. Like, yeah, man, I paid my taxes. I did everything right. I had a CPA. I had all these people coaching me too. And I did not know about TPT. And yep, they came back. I get a letter in the mail. Hey, you're being audited. They audited me when I opened up my store at Superstition Springs. Like when I'm growing, and we had 3 stores going. I'm like, so the one in Mesa, there was like, so Mesa, the cities can audit you as a city. That city of Mesa sent a letter to every single city that I possibly could bid in. Looked back on Facebook, found every single Facebook post that I made of where I'm going to be at. Siphoned out the city or where that's at, sent the letter to them saying, we want to audit for you through us to make sure we collect the taxes for your income that you was owed for this event that he had on this day or that day. And after 2 years of being audited, they charged me $140,000, and then they charged me another $30,000 in just fees. Just fees. And so you gotta imagine, you built this entire business, you grew it from all this to that. It's finally taking you places. You're finally seeing the efforts of your work. Your bank account is finally able to just have it. And you got this money in your bank account, and then you get this letter, and just like that, it's gone.
TPT, what is that?
It's what is it called? Thrift privilege tax. Something TPT, transaction privilege tax, I think is what it's called.
So, and this is something that the state does?
State does it. State does it by city.
So you were working with a CPA.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Are you still working with that same CPA?
No.
I mean, do most CPAs know, or is this CPA just like not with it?
You would think, but the criteria and the scope of work, well, people don't know this, that the CPA don't have to do your state taxes. They have to do your state taxes, but they don't have to tell you about your state. That part of the state tax was a different thing that they had to like do. They didn't even offer that service. And I mean, I went in extensive conversations about, are we doing everything right? Now, they file the IRS things, all that stuff on time. Everything's good on that. File my state tax on time. When it comes to income tax statement, income tax time, filed on time. But the monthly stuff, the day-to-day, the charting, like taking an Excel spreadsheet, taking every single event you go to, deciphering it by location, that's the key, and then getting the correct tax rate plugged into your POS, and then charging the sale according to that. I know for a fact, every single food truck, there's no possible way that they can be doing this. There's no possible way they can be looking at their POS screen and saying, I need a 2.75 Glendale tax rate along with a 99-cent processing fee. Combine those two together to give you the correct amount of tax. Oh, and then I need to switch when I'm in Mesa, because when I just left Glendale, I need to switch it to Mesa, which costs you $30 a month if you get a location as that. So every location that you get, just to put this tax rate in there, you got to do a whole nother one. Now, if you're invoicing, Intuit knows it. Intuit's greatest thing I can ever get into it. Get QuickBooks, because that's great. If you invoice through QuickBooks, it calculates your taxes. It knows to do it. But if you have a regular POS, I don't care if you got Clover, Square, whatever it is, you got to plug in those tax rates. You got to know what they are. Then you got to plug them in, and then you got to change them when you go to a certain city. Or you got to do an over-encompassing, charge too much tax, pay too much to TPT, so you ain't got to switch locations every single time whenever you move around like you do as a food truck.
Oh, interesting. So that's why some places charge a little bit more in tax.
Like a little more in tax.
I was like, why? Yeah.
You can look up the tax rate, and they may be charging 8.7% on tax, but the tax rate may only be 8.6. Where the reason why they're charging 8.7 is because they ain't got the technology, and Square don't offer it as like a leisure to be able to switch tax rates up and down. Like you can't just plug it in without creating a new location, without creating a subscription to the new location just to do that.
So how did you figure this out that you had to pay this? Like you just got hit with a bill?
No, I got audited.
The audit.
We sat down across the table and looked each other in the eye, and he was like, I'm counting up 140,000. As a matter of fact, I went through your entire Facebook post as of 4 years ago, looked at every single place where you were at, built a database spreadsheet to that, and then that's what I'm estimating you should be owning. And I'm like, wait a minute, 2020, man, we got half our events canceled. You counting events I didn't even go to. Yeah, but that's not important. I'm like, that's not important. It's very important. But his estimate was his estimate. It's you against the auditor. You can get a lawyer, you can get whatever, but that burden they can put on you no matter what. So you don't have the opportunity to decipher all this. So I'm telling every single food truck, every single business that sells something, you sell something tangible, if you don't do something outside of service, meaning is nothing that they actually got from this. If they get a blade of grass and you mow yards and you sold them something, you added fertilizer to it, then technically you sold them fertilizer in the lawn care. So you owe them TPT. Service don't count. It counts, but it don't really count. You ain't got to report it like you do with sales tax, because sales tax, the square to your merchant account will report it. So therefore you have to pay it. So you get hooked by, because it reports it. So therefore you can't like hide it. You can take cash, I guess, but how long are you going to be able to do that? You're not going to be able to take cash every single time. But the point of this is you gotta understand TPT to the T. Don't be like me.
So did you get like an advisor or a coach or like a mentor or something?
Kind of. I had an auditor, and the auditor, emailed me day to day, and he was looking. He created his spreadsheets. They asked for all your sales for the last 5 years, all your tax returns for the last 5 years, all your personal and bank and business bank accounts for the last 5 years. So they go through everything on every place that you can possibly get income to see if you're trying to hide it. Once you get audited, it's already over. The point is to not get audited, because once you get audited, they're looking for all these sales and they're averaging those sales, and they're just going to send an estimate anyways. So the whole point of growing is to make more money. Well, that resulted in growing, but getting on the radar. Once you get on the radar, now they start looking at you. Now you start saying,
how did you get on the radar? Was it all the social media?
So the social media too, but I opened the store at Superstition Springs, which was in their jurisdiction. Still carrying on the practices of not knowing, I failed to pay TPT on the store. After investigating, they were like, hey man, you got food trucks too? You got food trucks that came to Mesa? You got food trucks that went to Peoria? You got food trucks that went to Glendale? Oh, you got another store in Tempe? Oh, you got another store in Chandler? I wonder if you're not doing it for them too. So that whole investigation locked in, and once they honed in on me, it was it. It was over.
Wow.
It was over. Cost me $170 cash.
Wow.
Yep.
So like if someone's in this situation and they're maybe thinking like, oh, I'm not doing that, like where do they go? Like who do they talk to?
They can either bankrupt the business. Maybe it would be forgiven. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not CPA. I don't know the legal implications to that. But maybe they can bankrupt the business. Maybe they can be forgiven. All I know is every single day that you don't pay this, you get interest on it. So this was the reason why it was so high. I think the 2017 taxes only made like $1,100, but it cost me like $10,000 because the compound interest and the fees over 5 years of not paying. So every time you don't pay, they add interest and then they compound it. So you will pay an astronomical amount of ignoring it than you would just to handling it. So you have to pay it. You have to get on top of it. You have to stay ahead of it. You have to stay consistent, and you just can't be wrong.
Wow.
You can't get on their radar. Don't get on their radar. Wow. I'm telling you. Because where would you go? You can ask the CPA, but you're only going to pay more to do. You still got to pay it. You still got to pay the penalty, and you still got to pay the tax on that. First thing is charge tax. That's the first thing. Know how to charge tax. Explain to your customers that you're going to charge tax. I know a lot of us small businesses think we can get away with not paying taxes, that you ain't got to add taxes on top of your sales. And a lot of us do. A lot of us, I get it. But if you don't and they audit you, they're gonna look for every nickel and dime you had coming to your bank account, and they're gonna find it, and they're gonna estimate, and they're gonna say arbitrary number. Here you go.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So that's pretty wild. So I'm curious, like, what kept you going during that? Because for most people, they're like, man, I got to pay 170 G's. I'm out.
In cash.
Like,
yeah. I live conservatively. I don't spend all my money. I had, a little bit in the bank account. I was like, either we can not pay it, but we lose what we built. We have to start all over. We lose kind of the accreditation that we had. We have to, just the whole point of starting all. The whole point of being in business is being in business. So, I just was writing $38,000 checks. Just started writing them every week until you look at this, you send me another bill. Look at this, you send me another bill. And I was just like, this is never going to end. So, I called a meeting, discussed with him. He's like, and we broke it down. And wasn't no payment plans, no such thing. Payment plans come with penalty and interest. So you have to have it. Because I live conservatively, because, I don't just blow on everything. Now, I had plans. I was like, I get to get a jet ski. I get to go out. I get to do all these things. I always wanted to get to buy my mama a house and all this. But I was like, nope. Took it. Wrote a check.
Oh, that's like a gut punch, man.
Gut punch.
I ever seen. Oh, man. If you could sit down with a past version of yourself what kind of advice would you give yourself?
I'd first tell myself about TPT. That's number one. Because if I did that, I'd earned the money. I would have charged every customer, and I would have had another 170 in addition. I would have paid it, but then it's kept all the money that I actually made off the lemonade. Mm-hmm. That's number one. In business, I've done that. Number two, I probably would have fought a little harder to stay in the military, because when you double dip, you'll be able to like strenuize certain things, because you have a set and steady income from your job. W-2 income qualifies you for homes, which gets into the point I was talking about earlier. What I would have told myself even before I got out of the military, every time I PCS'd, I'd have bought a home. I'd have bought a home, and when I buy that home, a PCS order enables you to use your VA loan again to buy another home. Now, they also, as long as you got the credit and the income to be able to afford these homes, you can do it over and over and over again. The VA will let you do that. Now, it's a necessity that they allow you to do this, because when you PCS, the government's they're sending you somewhere else. Mm-hmm. That's an actual government move. So I would buy a house at every single duty station that I'm at. I do this for my entire career. When I walk out the military, not only do I have $1 million portfolio in assets, not only would I have people renting these houses throughout the whole time, so now I got a cash flow on top of my $1 million assets, but I also have the ability to take those assets and bind money against it. I can actually invest money in right against it. All of these houses would age, so they will build up equity. The equity that you have will then allow you to take out loans to do bigger and better and more aggressive endeavors. Mm-hmm. This portfolio would come naturally. It would come with time. It would come with effort or very little effort. You pay a property management person and you just let it ride. So take your 20-year take Private Milam at the time, back in 2000, and say, hey, when you get stationed to Fort Benning, Georgia, buy you a house there. Use the income you got based on what you get. So it's going to be a small house. Get it, rent it out. Wait till you get stationed to Fort Lee, because that's coming. Go to Fort Lee, Virginia, buy a house there. When you going to Fort Stewart, go to Fort Stewart, buy a house there. Oh, they can send you to Fort Campbell? Go to Clarksville, Tennessee, and buy a house. Oh, they're sending you to California? Oh, California. Buy a house in California. Buy a house in New York. Fort Drum. They send you to Fort Lewis. Buy a house there. When they send you to Florida, buy a house there. When I look up, it's going to be 20 years. Now you got your 20-year retirement, $1 million portfolio. You have all this money in cash flow coming to you. You have the ability to invest in all this. Mind you, you can refinance on all this too. So when you need to pull cash out, refi on your homes, just pick one and do it. And when times get too tough that your renter has to pay these payments, you sell it. Sell the asset, watch, rinse, repeat. You will never have to work again. You will have $1 million portfolio. You'd be able to invest. You'd be able to build other businesses, make other businesses, do other things. And then if you are misfortunate enough to go to war, you get your VA. Now you got that additional income. Now you got VA money coming in. You got a 20-year retirement. You get paid. Yeah, now you got Social Security. You get paid 3 times just off of the military. It's insane how much financial recourse and ability you could build yourself up just by being in the military. Getting that steady paycheck. They know it's coming. 1st and 15th. Boom. It hits every time. Use that money. Go get you a loan. Go get you a house loan. Use that VA loan. 0 down. 100% financed. You pretty much living.
Yeah.
You pretty much living. Show that you got rental income, so that takes out what you would have, or use your regular income. So now that absolves it. It zeroes it out. Use that money again. Go get another one. Count the income. And not to mention, the rental income against your taxes is going to serve you well. Man, it's going to serve you well. Use that rental income against your taxes. Now you can write off pretty much the world. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Do that for 20 years. See where you end up at.
So many new soldiers, they go and buy cars and pay like 20-30% interest.
20-30% interest when all they got to do is stack their money
Yeah.
Put it in a home. At least just buy a home and don't spend crazy. Just do what you got to do. Buy a home. Don't spend like crazy. Let time form. You're going to get 3 square meals a day. You're going to get a uniform. You don't need much. You don't have to do much. You're still going to be able to go out. I would tell myself, join the military, buy homes, get those homes, flip those homes, rent those homes, sell those homes, and the rest is history.
That's smart. All right, I got some quick 5 questions for you. What is your favorite book, podcast, or resource that inspires you to be bold?
You like Gary Vee? I love Gary Vee.
Yeah,
Gary Vee, I gotta say, like his book and just his podcast, like it really got me shaking and moving. He said, man, he's like, you got to work your shit job until you get enough money to where you can actually make a move. Don't sit there and say that you're good. You mean you're good? So you're good, right? You'd be like, yeah, I'm good. Okay, so if you're good, then why are you complaining about what you won't have, you know? So first got to get off your butt, man. You got to get off and you got to go. So use your shit job to be able to qualify for something else. Yeah. Work it until you can do that. Everybody's got to start out somewhere. Number 2, Brad Sugars. He has a nice book. He kind of implements a lot of things as far as, entrepreneurship and diversifying. Because once you follow the Gary Vee plan, now you can use this book to diversify your income, use things like loans and life insurance and other things that you can have as assets and build those assets until you got a portfolio that can match anything to where, and then use business, use business income as its own credit line. By doing this, your business, age those businesses. Start them early, start them yesterday. Let those businesses age. When those businesses age, you'll be able to then bank against loans against it. It's just like another human being. It can represent itself in court. It's just like a social security number, your EIN for your business. They can do everything a person can do, including build credit, except have feelings. Your business doesn't have feelings. Your business doesn't bleed. Your business doesn't have to drink water or eat. It can build itself. It can represent itself in court. It can take out loans. Use your business income and the loans you can put against it for your personal life. Put everything you have under your business. Everything you buy, everything you do.
So say that again. I'm trying to comprehend that here. So get the business started, let it age.
Yep. At least 3 years.
And then take loans out in the business.
Yes. If you fail to pay those loans, if you, Matt, fail to pay those loans, you, at the very least of options, will be forced to bankrupt. And that hurts you for 7 years, plus you got to report that every single time. But your business, if it bankrupts, what do? You just start another business. Now, make sure there's not a personal guarantee on those loans. But basically, once you get enough credit, they don't ask for personal guarantees. The business has its own credit, has its own credit line. Sometimes shorter, sometimes larger. But when you get enough income, you file your taxes. Your taxes show you make income on this business. You show that to the bank. The bank evaluates you and it the same. Sometimes they'll ask you to co-sign against it, but it's still business income and business debt. That business debt it can be used for anything because it's just a debit card in the business's name. If just so happens that you come under hard times, you use the legal means that you have available to you to forgive that debt, meaning you bankrupt that debt. And then you start another business in a different name, in a different setting, and just do it again. That's why you need to have a bunch of businesses. That's why you need to age a bunch of businesses so that you can do that. But what you actually will find out, instead of betting on the bankrupt option, run the business. I guarantee you'll be successful, and then you'll just have a business that works.
Does the business have to have a lot of income?
It don't, but if it has some income, if it has any income, put your paychecks in that income. Pay yourself out of that business. Create and take the tax deductions the business is able to take instead of you taking or just using them for nothing. Use your business as your cash flow. Pay yourself through the business. And then take the deductions that the business gives you to then write that off. You'll take the same amount of money, but you're getting ahead because you can take the deductions that you get refunds back on versus someone that just spends the money and it's just gone. Spend it with a business card, take the deduction, write it off. Spend it with just your personal, it's just gone.
Can this be just like an LLC? Or
be LLC, like especially an LLC. Especially an LLC. LLCs, you do payroll out of LLCs. The best tax advantage, and I'm not a tax advisor, so don't take it as this is tax advice, but an LLC can be owned by an S Corp. So get 20,000 LLCs, have one S Corp, meaning they files a K1, have that roll up into the one S Corp, and you file taxes one time on an S Corp, which makes your CPA happy because you only got to file one tax return. But you have all these K1s that are reporting income from all these businesses from different places, agencies, things, real estate, holding companies, whatever. Have all those businesses rolling into it. Your S Corp files it. Now you get the tax deductions that's offered for an S Corp, but you own and you make business from the LLCs. And then you do that. And they all have bank accounts and they all can represent themselves in court and they all have their own income that comes in and out. But even if you don't, just income is one source, but mainly report the expenses. If you have expenses, report that on the business instead of on your personal. And I mean everything. Do your cell phone, do a portion of your house, do all your groceries, do everything that you can hook into, make a business that makes it, liable and legal. Because having a car dealership, it ain't gonna make sense you buying food at Fry's, But if you have a lemonade stand or a food stand, shopping at Fry's, you gotta shop at Fry's, you gotta get stuff. So shopping at Costco is gonna be able to enable you to write that off.
And why do that?
Because when you serve it as deductions, those deductions will then be lifted and you will take that off of your taxable income. Now your income is untaxable, which means you have more of it. You don't owe it to the government. And saving your money in the tax system is where it all counts. So either you can be somebody who earns the money and just spends it, or you can be somebody who earns the money, still spends it, still has a car, but the car is paid for by the business, is owned by the business. And you lease the car and the business pays it off, but then here's your refund check for leasing that car. Or buying a car outright and then using the entire amount. I forget the actual legal law to it. You can write off that entire car as an asset, and that asset can be counted against your taxes as a liability, which gives you forgiveness eventually under your taxable income. Gotta work it.
Man.
Gotta work it.
Man, we don't have enough time in this show to go over
Man.
all that. Oh, okay. In one word, how would you encourage someone to be bolder today?
Got to be aggressive. They got to be confident. They got to be smart. I know I'm giving you more words, but these are more words. And they got to be willing. Temperament is such a key thing, because being able to start something, but just having the tenacity to doing it, because a lot of people get stuck. Well, I know I want to run a business, but I don't know what to sell. Just sell something. Just sell yourself. Just say you're a coach. Just say, do the thing you're good at. If it's playing video games, you're now a coach of video games. That's now your business. And that's now your aging business to do all these things. So when you go out and you buy a video game, it's an expense that you use for your business to then write off your income, your taxable income. You'll see the taxes will spread that way and you'll earn more money the same way. Take the Roth IRA plan, it's doing the exact same way. All a Roth IRA is doing is taking your taxable income and putting it in a place where you won't miss the penalty after so many years, but your taxes on that goes away after 30 years. You take all that money, you invest small amounts of money, it compounds, it grows, it compounds, it grows, it compounds, it grows, it compounds, it grows. Before you know it, and this is the promise, by the time you're 30, you're at least a millionaire. And then you can take that money out without paying the taxes. Without paying the penalty, still pay taxes. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Best piece of advice? stay humble and giver's gain. You got to be able to give and express the compassion for helping others. You can't be somebody that keeps all of your keys and tricks and tools to yourself. You can't be selfish. You got to be able to help, and helping will not only put yourself in a position where it's kind of like an I owe you, but it's definitely you're in a position that helping, you're not afraid to help. Helping will put somebody else on, it changes their life, it increases their income, increases their trajectory. It helps all of society. Mm-hmm. If everybody helped, everything would be better. Everybody would be better. Everybody would be better for themselves. I just wish I would have helped younger or knew that, because a lot of times when we're young, we're definitely all about ourselves. We think everything is forced to ourselves. We're very self-centered. When being compassionate and being giving is really, don't get taken advantage of. Don't be stupid, but just be more giving. Give for gain.
That's good advice. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about? Anything we missed?
Nah, just shout out to, if you're ever in Arizona Mills, stop by there, get a fresh squeezed lemonade. It's one of the best you ever taste. Try out the cherry mint. You don't make a cherry mint anywhere else in the state. We're the only place that sells it. Shout out to all the food truckers that are out there, small businesses that are trying to do everything they can to just put food on the table. Shout out to the CPAs supporting those. We need more CPAs. If you're a CPA or somebody who wants to get into banking and bank with businesses, shout out to Torres Insurance. I mean, they're a really good company. I would really honestly invest and move your assets, move your business, get your life insurance plans, get with Toro, because they'll definitely set you up. Just cover all the ends and make sure you play this game smart, because the smart will win and the dumb will not.
Toro Insurance, not Torres Insurance.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I said.
Yeah, no.
You're going to be like, hey, I'm Torres. Why am I getting so many fees?
Just let it clarify that. It's not mine. Yeah, man, very cool. No, this has been awesome. I know we've been trying to get you on the show for a while now. I mean, the schedules just didn't line up. You busy man, dude. You like going all over the place. You got BNI stuff you're going all over the place for.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like really happy we were able to kind of like lock this in, and you share your story and stuff.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Your setup is awesome. This is definitely good. Let's get some more voices on here. I know I'm not the first, but I'm definitely not going to be the last.
Nope. Awesome. All right, man. Well, that's been cool. And this is going to be a wrap for today's episode of the Boldness Podcast. And until next time, we out.
We out.
Thanks for listening to Bold Moves. I'm Matt Torres, and I hope today's story gave you that spark to keep moving forward. Be sure to follow the show for more conversations that inspire action, shift mindsets, and remind you you're not alone on the journey. For exclusive content, updates, and more, visit boldmovespodcastaz.com. Until next time, take the leap, trust the process, and keep making bold moves.
Hey, Quincy with Cuties Lemonade. You can find Cuties Lemonade at any of the food trucks. We're at Arrowhead Farmers Market every Saturday. This is summer hours from 8 to 11. Also find us at Arizona Mills Mall in Tippy. And also, if you are in Tampa, Florida, find us at the Countryside Mall. We will be inside the food court at both of them. We got great fresh squeezed lemonade and lemonade slushies. You got to get one of those. Got to get that blue cherry gummy bear. And that's Cuties Lemonade, because it tastes as good as it looks.